All right.
Hello, good day, everyone. It's your girl Siobhan with another episode of Behind the Music. Oh, yes. Thank you for joining us today. And today we have a very, very, very special guest. She goes by the name Adenima, right? So she has so much in store for you guys today because I know how much the Last Star Nation enjoy being motivated and encouraged. And Joan Phillips Bennett will be here with the encouragement. She is known as Adenima when she is in her creative element. She's a wife, a mother of two, is a classic example of what we call multifaceted. She has a background in music, liturgical dance, film, and education. She has been using her gifts to empower persons, whether it's through her annual Charity Arts and Motions Festival, Artistic Dimensions, through her short films, her music, or her work on radio and television programs. Adenima is an advocate for children who are differently abled, and she has been hosting workshops online as a support for her parents, ministers, teachers each quarter as it becomes more difficult for children with special needs. Mrs. Bennett teaches for various community programs, including Stand Up for Jamaica, an intervention program for young girls in the South Camp Juvenile Correctional Facility. This was indeed a mouthful of an introduction. All right, welcome to the show, Joan, and you're looking cute.
Thank you yourself too. Thank you for having me. My
And
first time on your show. Thank you so much for the invite.
indeed, and welcome, just taking the time to welcome the new subscribers as well. I'm noticing persons are viewing but not subscribing. Please to hit the subscribe button. I'm sure after Joan is finished, you're going to want to hear more. Right. So, in a nutshell, may I have three adjectives that describes Adenima?
Whoa. Hmm. Jovial is always my go-to. Dear God, Siobhan, why did you start me with this? So jovial. What is a word that says in my head? Focus. Jovial, focus, and creative.
Awesome. And we love to tell the stories of very creative persons on here. All right. So even before the interview, Joan had me laughing. So jovial is definitely correct. All right. What got you interested in the arena of music? What sparked the interest?
To be honest, I love music. My household always had music playing every single day. I would have music in my ear. And it is just something for me. It helps you to escape. And when I decided to study music, I'm blessed to have parents who support whatever I choose to do
Mhm.
because they always say, "Do you think you can handle it?"
Mhm.
And if the answer is yes, then we will support you. And I remember when I was studying, my lecturer at the time, Sir Ibo Cooper, he would always share with us why he thinks music is great. And he said something that stuck with me for to this day. Music is considered to be the highest art form because it is the only art form that you may not necessarily see, but
Okay.
you can feel it. So it's
Indeed.
not like visual arts where you see a canvas and you can paint on it and you can
Right.
color and it doesn't have any tangible thing, but
Yeah.
you can feel it. It evokes emotion out of you that nothing else can. I
Right.
think it was Plato who said if you want to control the masses, I'm paraphrasing,
Right.
you use music because it's a powerful tool that can really get persons motivate or even break them apart
Yeah,
depending on
that's
what you're
true.
saying. So
Yeah.
music has always been that escape for me. And being raised as an only child, my imagination just, my God. I would have shows in my brain all night, every night. Thank you. Yeah, we love you too.
I can imagine how awesome that must have been. I mean, as an only
Listen,
child, you created your own space.
listen. I was a headliner every night, Listen, we dey on tour from me a what? From me a two. We dey on tour.
Wow. Mad, crazy. I love it. Right. So take us back to the childhood days. You said that you were an only child, right? What was it like growing up as an only child, being so creative? You mentioned supportive parents. What was your child like?
Well, only child, and I would say only child for my mom, because I do have siblings, but I was raised as an only child because I'm the youngest.
Yeah. Oh,
So in my household, it was always fun. I think I get my crazy side from my dad,
hmm.
and I get my more serious side from my mom, because my mom is very quiet and she's always observant. My father is observant too, but he
Yeah.
know he's the I guess he's if you want to put how to win friends and influence people, my dad would be that person, because my dad can sit in a room and know no one and just by the end of the day be in full conversation with these people. And I'm like, do you know them though? And he just had that about him. He's very charismatic.
Right.
And I
Just
think
as how you
because of my exposure to those personalities and being able to talk to them about anything and so forth, I always felt real comfortable being at home. I think I'm more of a homebody more than persons would probably object to this. But I always feel like I'm more introverted, even though on stage I seem extroverted.
yeah.
And
It's interesting.
unlike others, I love being at home. I just love my space, and I think it's a blessing because not many people have find peace at home.
Right.
And I have been blessed to have that childhood where when I'm home, I'm at peace.
Yes.
So yes,
Right.
I'll go out, but when I come back, I feel comfortable. I feel okay being there with my parents. My parents make up my circle that
Yeah.
I always confide in.
And that's a blessing because not many people
Yes.
can say that their parents are quote unquote best friends or really close to them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is indeed a blessing. And Joan, we mentioned to the viewers and to the guests that you are into liturgical dance in film. How did all of that get encapsulated in the ball of Adenima?
Liturgical dance started, of course, from church. I've always been, anybody who knows me, which is what you all are kind of getting a piece of. But anyone who knows that I have been glued to learning and understanding the craft of performance.
Right,
I from I was young, I don't even, I think probably as young as 3 maybe. I've always tried to embody what I've seen on screen. So I'm a very visual learner.
right,
And I've listened and watched professionals like, the Bob Marleys, the Michael Jackson, the Ushers, the groups, boy bands, and all of these different, versions or different type of performers, and try to pull from each of them to create my own persona on stage.
right.
And as young as probably 3, 4, I would put on performances for my parents. And I guess anybody who would watch. Everybody's like, yeah, man, she loves to sing, she loves to act. And I would put on little skits, of course, out of my head, because these skits are not written. I probably
Right.
have to copyright them. But I would do that from my young age, and then it kind of evolved into doing, items at school, at church, and then I would start choreographing movement
Mm,
based on what I saw. And then we had a pilot program opened up at our church.
right.
A minister who's very dear to me, Reverend Stephanie Butler Adams, who's in LA now. She had a pilot program. And when I heard that she wanted to start a dance program at our church as the pilot church, I was like, me,
Yeah.
please. And
Get away.
from there, we would start traveling and going across the globe to minister for other people. And then I started to understand the difference in ministry versus performance.
Right.
Performance, you will look for the energy from the crowd, while ministry, you may not get that applause because you are not doing it for yourself.
We do it for
And
the
if you
prayer.
are ministering to someone or ministering to a group of people, your only responsibility is to deliver the word through movement. So
Right.
you clear yourself and deliver the word through movement, and it is nothing about you. And from that, I kind of stood in the liturgical dance arena for a while.
Right. And you're
I
still
mean,
actively dancing. Yes.
yes, even now. So I'm the creative director at Chapel of Christ Adenima AME now. So we handle like the film aspect, the designing and the dance and the music, and we work with the band so that we can have, a superb standard in worship, because of
Right.
course God is a God of excellence. So we try to do
That's right.
as best we can and learn as much as we can to ensure that the next experience will be better than the last.
Perfect. That's quite a mouthful. And interestingly enough, you mentioned ministry and performance. Uh, Before I get into that, explain to the viewers who don't know what is liturgical dance. For those who might be watching and like, huh, what is she talking about? What is Adima
Well,
saying?
liturgical dance in layman's terms is basically sacred dance. Is what we would call praise dance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you think about liturgy, like from a church standpoint, you're talking about sacrament and prayers and being prayerful and all of these things. So you think about the aspect of giving yourself to God um in worship
Right.
and in praise. So liturgical dance just embodies that experience. It doesn't have to be within a church setting. It
Oh,
can be, because we used to minister on the streets of Southside downtown Kingston, right?
right.
So it doesn't have to be within the four walls of a church, but the foundation of liturgical dance is rooted in the word, and it is rooted in the
Praise.
delivering of God's word to his people.
Okay. All right. So would you say that, for example, take for example, somebody who's not a Christian, but there is some form of a calling on their lives, right? I'm kind of straying from a script,
God.
trying to keep it organic on here. All right. So someone who is not a Christian but believes that there's a calling on their life, would you say that that person is capable of doing both ministering and performing, or what is really the difference between ministry and performing? Because can't you perform and minister at the same time, or
Well, many people do that. Many people do
performing?
that. But there is a thin line because of what is fed to the people.
Right.
Because anybody who knows my music, it's not what we would call gospel music,
Gospel. Mhm.
but it is positive music. You have gospel music, you have Christian music, which if that's a whole different talk show.
Yes.
But when you talk about ministry and performing, many times people detach themselves from the world because, of course, we're not of the world.
Right.
However, Jesus did not sit back and say, I will not dwell with anybody else. Jesus's ministry was heavily rooted in going outside what we
Of
would
the
call the
church.
traditional church space. For performance versus ministry, the reason why people kind of have an issue with both is because of the message of both.
Okay.
The performance aspect you have to determine as an individual, because remember, if you have a call on your life, first of all, you have to commune with God. You have to ask God, what exactly is it that you want me to do?
Right.
So no human being can answer what your calling is for you, right? So if God says, I'm calling you to minister, no human being, you can't, the truth is you really can't get advice from a human being per se, but you can get guidance in terms of how to probably decipher what the voice of God is, right? So once, just like with Samuel, when he was just being called and he's like, did you call me? And he like said, no, but next time say, Lord, that I'm here, I'm listening. It's kind of like that. That's the only thing we can guide each other with, depending on the how deep you are in God's presence. Performance, it depends on the message. So of course you're not going to do fling up and cock up and boy girl, that's Siobhan is laughing. Like literally when people hear about secular music, that's the only thing
comes to mind.
And there's the problem. So when you say you probably minister in church, but you don't do sacred music on the stage, people have a problem with that because they're not taking time out to listen. What exactly are we singing? Because if we pay attention to even church, when we're celebrating marriages and when we have marriage retreats and couples and all of these things, they're not playing gospel music. They may play, of course, in the mix, yes.
Right.
But they're going to throw in some secular music. And the secular music that they choose to throw in is a love song. You understand what I'm saying? Who is singing the love songs?
Christians
The
are
earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
And they that dwell therein. Exactly. And gospel, the meaning of gospel is good news. When you're doing positive messages such as yourself, even though it's not the traditional gospel as we know it, isn't that spreading good news? Isn't that?
It is. It is.
Encouraging someone to meditate or say, okay, I need to look into myself. I need to listen to what Adenima is saying in her songs.
Right.
Yeah, so I
It
mean,
is.
I guess
There was a time when Bob Marley, people would have a problem, even earlier than that. But if we look at the history of music and the most popular music as we consider it to be, like even the Ray Charles and all of these things, people will come down on young people and saying, you are singing the devil's music.
Right.
The reason why the devil has so much so-called power is because he has deceived the people to believe it belongs to him.
Right.
David was a chief musician, and so was Lucifer.
Yeah, dance like David dance.
And so was Lucifer. But you see, Lucifer understood the power of music, which is why first he tried to get all of the rhythms and the sounds.
Right.
But the thing is, everything that God created belongs to us first. But the thing is, we are so shy to take a hold of it that we believe that it belongs to the adversary.
Right.
So when I get up on stage and I sing my song, Truth, I remember a pastor asked me to sing one of my reggae songs in the church. And I had no problem because my reggae song is not derogatory. My song was nothing out of the ordinary that persons are going to be like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? Because I'm comfortable with what I'm singing. I don't feel ashamed because I'm saying something positive and something that can help and empower our people.
Right.
So if we're doing performance and we're doing ministry, and funny enough, persons may argue that if the secular route that you're taking only focuses on empowering and good news and all of that, they're going to call it ministry too.
Right.
Because ministry is not only in the church. You can be ministering by just giving somebody money to buy food.
Right.
That's a ministry. You can help to feed persons on the street. That's ministry.
I can see
Everything
a
that you
listening
do,
ear when someone is going through
exactly.
something. That's some form of a ministry. Mm.
Exactly. So it is really what we've been fed and the education that we've been receiving that has tarnished the whole idea of what we can do in God's eyes. So all I normally say is talk to God.
You can have a conversation with him. Exactly.
Have
Unless
a conversation.
if
He
you're
won't
doing
lead you astray.
something that is outside of what you want, he will show you
Exactly.
signs and lead it to the curriculum. But Joan or Adenima,
Oh, anyone is fine.
we're in the creative space. How would you, who were your biggest or who are your current biggest musical influences, and how would you describe your sound? And of course, I'm going to be dropping
Wow.
her musical links under the video for those who wants to subscribe to her channel and listen to her
Yes.
beautiful songs. Yes, so you can look out for that.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Michael Jackson, all-rounder. I tend to gravitate to triple threats, as they would call them. So a Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Prince, Usher. I gravitate to Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, who
Right.
I think deserves so much more accolades. Um, wow, there's so many. Anita Baker has a sound that cannot be matched. And well, anybody know Anita Baker knows that Anita Baker loves Sarah too. So a lot of times when I listen to an artist who I admire and I listen to their story, I tend to research based on where they are coming from.
Okay.
So their sound was shaped from who they listen to. So because I like their sound, I tend to listen to who they
Other
listen to too.
persons, okay.
So the Frank Sinatras, the Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, Bob Marley. I love all of these artists who all had a message.
Right.
Oh my gosh, why would I not say Shaka Khan?
Mm.
But I loved all the artists who had a message and they delivered it well. I gravitate to artists like that.
Right. And how would
Mhm.
you describe your style?
My
Like,
style is definitely eclectic.
okay.
I don't think you can put me in a box. I'm not a reggae artist. I'm not a gospel artist. I love all forms of music. When I say all, I mean all.
Um,
I've performed rock music, I've performed reggae, dance music, talk about the different Jamaican forms from ska, rocksteady, reggae, dancehall. I love every form of music. Every form of music. So
so you're
I'm the
a big
fusion
melting pot.
artist.
Right.
I'm the positive fusion artist.
Which is quite beautiful, amazing if you ask me.
Thank you.
Right. So what's your process for writing though, Adenima, and recording music? How do you collaborate with other musicians and producers? What's your process? Take us through the journey.
My process is not there's no one way to get into the masterpiece. I just released a few months ago a song that I wrote it like years ago. I just didn't record it.
Right.
And when I went in the studio, I have worked a lot with J Edge, the Jamaican singer, and we would kind of flesh it out and then he would say, well, so that line is kind of outdated.
Can
Or
I
Joan,
feel
that's
honest
kind of
with
too
you?
intellectual for the masses. Can you just kind of fix that out? I have a song called Rich Love, and I remember in creating it in studio, I rewrote the whole a complete verse on spot. Cause he's like,
Okay.
the Joan, you have to go take that out because that's just too much. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And I just wrote it. But there's sometimes when something will just simply come to you, whether it's just the melody
Right.
or the bass line. For me, I tend to record a lot. So whether it's on my phone or my laptop, if it hits me and I have the ability to record at the moment, I will do it quickly before I lose it. Or sometimes I'm in a quiet space. Sometimes I'm in the shower and it will just come to me and I will lay it down. So
Right.
please do not judge me, but I will stop showering just to grab my phone to record it.
Wow.
That's how I am.
You have to grab the great ideas when they come.
Exactly.
You
And
know if you're gonna remember it after.
listen, much gone back to the spiritual library. Even said, Jano, I don't know where to find that one on the shelf again.
Or if you
It
dream
is
state or
serious.
something, you get up and you write it down same time because sometimes we can't even remember our own dreams.
Of course, listen, it rough out there, for creatives. It rough as Protege. I heard Protege say it, and I heard Pharrell Williams say it in an interview. They say that it's not that people are really great, like what people make people out to be. It's that there's a divine library of ideas, and some people are just in tune with it.
Right.
Some people will kind of just let the ideas kind of brush, oh, that's a cute idea, but they don't really act on it. But tomorrow, what you would have liked, what you like today, you may not like it tomorrow. So just grab it today. So
Exactly.
we're all just checking out ideas, Pharrell said it. We're all
And
just
what
checking out
works?
ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what works well. It's not that you created anything out of the blue. There's nothing new under the sun.
That's true.
Nothing at all. So even some songs, I remember when I was teaching at Alvernia Prep, I was teaching music. And my students would say there was this big debate, even with the Rihanna work, work, work. And I would play where the sample came from. So like when we play the Sean Paul and they're like, Miss, that's all music. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but it comes from somewhere else. So
Yeah.
it's not that everybody just sits in a bubble and they just create everything on their own. We're all borrowing ideas from different places. And if we really pay attention and research, we will actually hear them.
Right. And there are a lot of times when we hear a new song, this sounds similar to something else, or
Oh
that's
yes.
because it
Oh
sometimes
yes.
takes samples from other things and
The
rework it into
recycled
something.
energy.
Right. And then we're like, oh, this new from this artist, and oh, not realizing that
Yes.
in the
It's new for the
70s.
generation today.
All right, exactly. But what are some of the biggest challenges you faced as a singer, and how have you overcame them, or how are you overcoming them as we speak?
Biggest challenges, I think for me, my experience in the entertainment industry is not only on stage, but because I organize and put on events. So there is always a challenge in
Right,
terms of getting out there. For me, sometimes I don't manage my time well because of how many things I have to do.
right.
And a lot of times, as a new artist or as an upcoming artist, persons don't really see you as how you see yourself. So like in my eyes, listen, I'm a headliner, I'm a superstar. I've traveled the world and back already.
Oh yes,
They
girl.
just hadn't caught on to it yet.
Have to believe
But
in you. Nobody believe
exactly.
in